This is our new olive tree, and we're building a box, cube, square, wooden planter for it. The other ones that we have are also we made and we painted them black. We really like the style of it, and this one's got a lemon tree and pansies in it.
So to get started, I like to go into a plain surface that's flat so that I can arrange my wood into a square that's going to allow us to create the base of the planter. Each of the pieces of wood are 60 centimeters long, but what we're not doing is we're not aligning them end to end like that. What we're doing is we're overlapping them so that the far edge intersects with that bit, and this comes down and intersects with that bit. So the first step is to drill pilot holes into two places on the wood, because we're going to be putting in 2 screws into each joint. And I'm not marking anything because I'm merely aligning the edges of the wood so that they are nice and neat. When drilling the pilot hole, what you need to do is ensure that it gets through the front piece of wood, but it has to also make quite a decent incision on the other side. That's important because when you put the screws in, it'll prevent the wood from separating like that. I'm using a 5 by 50 millimeter galvanized screw. After a lot of research, these are the screws that we like to work with because they don't rust and they've got a really good bite on the edge. For the next step, you can use a screwdriver to manually start screwing all of the screws into the wood. That is a lot of work. We purchased an impact driver. This is one of the best purchases that we've made for DIY inside the house. It's an Einhell, and I'm going to demonstrate now just how effective and useful this tool is. So now we're going to rake out the area so that we can have a solid base. So we're going to transfer the base of our planter, which is going to go there. Obviously you don't want it balancing on stones where it's going to settle, so we're just going to remove the top layer of pebble and place it on the solid ground underneath it. Now we've placed our base. You can probably see that it's at a slight angle, so we're just going to prop it up a little bit because you It doesn't have to be perfectly straight, but we have to get it to a reasonable straightness so that it doesn't look like it's completely wonky. We use a spirit level, and you can see that we're going to have to raise this side up about that much to get it close on level. So the way we're going to do that is we're just going to prop it with a little bit of gravel, maybe a little bits of sand, just to keep getting it in there until we get a reasonable level. By overlapping them the way that we have, we're going to start getting this nice effect that's going to work its way up as we build the planter. As my next steps, once again I'm going to drill 2 pilot holes and take 2 screws and drive those through, joining the 2 pieces of wood. So there you have it, we've completed the top 4 levels. Now they are stacked on top of each other, but they are still loose. So now what we're going to do is bring it all together and make it rigid. In order to do that, we're going to put in 2 stanchions on either side on opposing corners. I'm going to measure this, so we're at about 50 centimeters from top to bottom. So I'm going to mark 2 areas on my wood, and then I'm going to manually saw them to the length that I require. So I've put my supports in. You can see they're quite low down, so that when we put the soil on, they'll be hidden underneath that. Get them in, push them in nicely so that they're snug on both sides of the corner. And as we did with the others, we're going to put 2 screws in, one at the bottom and one higher up.
That's the first box planter built. Second one to go for the bay leaf tree. Once the second one's built, then we will line them with plastic wrap only on the inside sides, not on the floor. You don't need to because we're on gravel base. And then we'll put some rubble in the bottom, a little bit of gravel just for drainage, and then we'll fill it up with compost or soil, and then plant our olive tree and subsequently our bay leaf tree.
Planter 2 is underway, and we're doing it the same way we did the first one. The next step entails lining the planters. We have an enormous plastic sheet that we cut into thinner pieces, then goes inside the planter where it gets stapled into position before the soil goes in. The reason we do that is to prevent leaching and decay of the wood itself, and it just preserves the life of the planter. Next step, we put in the potting grit as a small layer at the bottom, just to help with drainage. And now the heavy lifting is going to start as the tree is going to go in. Because we live in the UK and we get a lot of rain in the area that we're in, we're going to fill this olive tree's planter pot with a mixture of grit and horticultural sand and limit the soil so that it doesn't get to a point where it gets too sodden and where the tree starts to rot. So there we have it, the olive tree is in the planter. We're probably a bag of compost soil light, so we'll just top that up later this week. Then we'll just let this wood weather a little while and we'll make a decision as to whether we're going to stain it or whether we're going to just leave it natural. And here we go, the planters are done, finished, looking good. We've just applied the slate to go on top of that so that the cats don't use it as a toilet. We have the matching planter on the other side for the bay leaf tree. So it's been a couple of weeks since we finished this project. We've decided not to paint them or to varnish them. We're going to leave them the way they are. They are weathering very nicely and they are matching the oak planters quite nicely themselves. It really couldn't be easier to make these things. Given how much these planters sell on websites or in garden stores, buying the wood yourselves and doing it is going to give you a far better quality product, and it's going to save you quite a lot of money. And these probably only took us about an hour or so to build the set of them, so I think it's a bit of a no-brainer.
Thanks for watching. You can also follow us on Instagram or check out our website at myhomefarm.co.uk. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you have any suggestions for any other videos you would like to see, please leave a comment. We hope to see you on our next video.